Hey guys, Kyle, the Dead Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for My Hero Academia Season 3, Episode 4, and ooh boy, what an episode this was. So to start off, we get formally introduced to a lot of characters in this arc, but I gotta talk about Spinner to start with, because the dude... Okay, I cannot take this motherfucker seriously at all. Spinner is a walking, talking, stain copycat, and I mean that quite literally. Like, everything he does is basically everything a fanboy would do of someone that they look up to. Like they would copy their appearance, that they would copy just their monologue, they would copy everything about them. Like, Spinner is the worst kind of it is the worst kind of thing to basically pop up from Stain's ideology. Like, he is just a plain old copycat. There's nothing about him that says he like freaking Dobby is a lot more like Stain than Spinner is. Like, Spinner's just a he's like that he's like that impersonator. He's like those impersonators you'd see at the mall or just at concerts or whatnot. He's that kind of dude, and like, yeah, Spinner, you, my friend, are just a fanboy, and you are nothing like Stain at all. So just stop trying to act like Stain. You're nothing like him. So yeah, and so aside from that, there's a brief moment in this episode I want to talk about, which is the scene we get of Koda watching the news of his parents' death. And that one scene, if you really look at it, it really mirrors Izuku watching All Might on the news. But the only difference is what came out of it. Koda grew to hate heroes because Koda grew to hate heroes half, of course, because his parents died, and another half because all the heroes that were popping up after his all the pro heroes that were popping up after his parents died were were nothing like what his parents represented. Like, his parents had a true desire to protect people, while all the other heroes that were popping up after they died were just in it for the fame. Meanwhile, Izuku's desire to be like Meanwhile, Izuku's desire to be like All Might grew even stronger after finding out he didn't have a quirk, and he didn't have a quirk. So yeah, it was basically, while all Koda's hatred grew, Izuku's Izuku's love and desire to be a hero, it both pretty much grew, just in very different both their desires grew just in very different directions. And what's funny is that and what's really cool is that in the end, the deciding factor what helped Koda, like, pretty much see past his hatred and his hatred of heroes was Izuku's tenacity at facing down the villains who killed his parents. Because because just like he probably didn't understand completely of what his parents felt, of what his parents thought or felt in their final moments, but you can just see in the way he was looking at Izuku fighting muscle, that or muscular, sorry, that in the way he was seeing Izuku fighting muscular, that from witnessing Izuku fight, I think he caught a glimpse of what his parents more than likely thought in their final moments. Like, they were pretty much true. He understood what his parents felt, and what it meant, and what they thought of what it meant to be a hero. So yeah, it's really I like when I really like when My Hero Academia definitely does these parallels, because it really shows that, yeah, there's definitely different attitudes becoming towards being heroes, and there's going to be different opinions and different experiences too, and it's all about how Izuku interacts with the people around him, that he can truly start changing them. Um, Now, of course, the major fight in this episode was the fight of Izuku versus Muscle, and let's start off talking about the fact that he was quite that muscle that mu- of Izuku versus Muscular. Sorry, and let's start off by talking about the fact Muscular was quite literally Izuku's opposite in terms of quirk, because it was badass enough that the dude could literally take his muscle fibers to make himself stronger and faster, but from what I saw, there were very few to no drawbacks. If there were very few, if no drawbacks to pretty much his quirk. While on the flip side, Izuku has to constantly keep his strength at a maintainable level, otherwise he could severely hurt himself. And he did go over his limit, which in this situation I can't fault him for that, going but he went at 1,000,000% of a Detroit Smash. 1,000,000. Izuku, bro, holy shit! Like, I'm, I'm sure. Holy shit! Like, I'm sure Muscular was strong, but was he really strong enough that you needed to go 1,000,000%? Wouldn't have like 1,000 done it, or I don't know. Maybe I'm underestimating Muscular. Muscular here, like seriously, 1,000,000% Detroit Smash. Like, holy shit! Like, I really hope Recovery. Like, honestly, Izuku, you better hope and pray to God that Recovery Girl is willing to let this one slide, because you are going to need a massive boost after this. And even then, she can really only do so much. So, whatever Izuku did to his arm just now, there's going to be some real permanent damage. Probably even worse than his other arm, unless that was the damage arm he was using, in which case, it's fucked. And but either way, like, yeah, but yeah, and whatever, and I like how whatever you think about the power scaling of the show of My Hero Academia, I think we can all agree that there's still real consequences to the characters' actions with their quirks. Like, especially Izuku, like with this particular episode, I felt it really drove home that Izuku's. I really felt it drove home that Izuku's power, again, unless he keeps it under control, he's just gonna fuck himself over continuously. So, yeah, unfortunately, it is in situation. Unfortunately, there are going to be situations like this even going forward where he is going to need to push himself even further. So whatever happens to Izuku's arm after this, whether it recovers or not, Izuku is going to have to go through some massive fucking training in order to get stronger, because this is just insane. In fact, honestly, it almost looks. I almost feel like it's. I can't say for sure, but it almost feels like it's driving home that Izuku is going to have to inevitably find an alternative method to using One for All, rather than just the usual. Usual punching. Like, I wonder if it almost feels like he's gonna have to use like some other type of method of doing it, but a method of fighting or something beyond just using his arms. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And yeah, hopefully he can freaking recover from this, because yeah, that was nuts. um, and actually, there is one minor thing also I want to talk about in this episode. It's very minor and very brief, but I want to talk about the brief. I want to talk about Tetsu here in this episode. Like, honestly, like, I think Tetsu said Tetsu understood that the reason why Class 1A is so strong is because they've experienced this shit. Like, he made a good point. Both Class 1B, Class 1A, they're basically part of the same hero course. But yet the glaring difference between the two classes is that Class 1A has actually experienced some shit, that they've experienced villains, that they know what they're up against. Class 1B has no freaking idea what they're up against. They were basically panicking, and they were basically just trying to escape. But yeah, with the Tetsu's declaration, I can see us getting I can see us getting a little bit of Class 1B, Class 1A, a bit of combo team up in the next couple episodes for sure. In fact, we even got a little hint of it even in this episode with basically seeing Momo with that little flashback of seeing Momo basically distribute the gas masks. So yeah, no, it was a little tease of seeing Class 1A and Class 1B work together a little bit. But yeah, I think we're gonna see more of that now. And yeah, Tetsu, like he's the starter point, and I cannot wait to see what he's gonna get from this. Um, Now, that aside, let's talk about the objective of why the League of Villains are here, which is to kidnap Bakugo. And whatever their purpose is, whether it's to recruit him or steal his quirk, it's not exactly hard to see why. I mean, yeah, Bakugo wants to be a hero, and his reasons why are much deeper, but his personality and quirk, I'm sure, looks very appealing to the villains. In fact, in many respects, this plays off events in the arcs from the beginning of the series, where we basically see Bakugo acting a little more like a villain, or a little more like a villain rather than a hero. I mean, of course, Bakugo has gone through a lot of development since then, but yeah, in the very beginning of the series, he definitely did have the model of more of a villain than a hero for sure. Now, I'm not now for pretty much many. I'm sure this is probably seeming a lot like a mix of the Mist Village of the Zabuza arc and the Sasuke retrieval arc of Naruto, but I will say, and for those wondering if we're gonna go down the same route of a Sasuke betrayal with Bakugo, let's just say it's going to play out quite differently than this. Like Bakugo, yeah, he's just not gonna roll around it over for these guys. So, but I've said too much, and I'm just gonna end it there, guys. So yeah, just tell me what you think. What did you think of this episode? Did you just leave me a like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Facebook. That Night of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.